All right, my name is Todd from Code 2 Cards, and today we are talking Legacy of Destruction pre-sales. Should you buy them or should you wait? And if you should buy them, which cards should you buy and which cards should you avoid? That's what we're going to be talking about today. I know that I'm a little bit late on this. Maybe you're thinking pre-sales have already been up and all. Yeah, I get it. But with Konami releasing the rarity spread so late, it pushed everything back. But nonetheless, this will be a helpful video on pre-sales just in general as well. So, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We would love for you to be a part of the channel. Hit that like button too. It does help us out tremendously and cost you absolutely nothing. All right, we're going to jump in to talking about pre-sales, and I give you the same speech that I give you every video that we talk about this. Pre-sales are a dirty, nasty game. You are gambling when you're buying pre-sales. That is the nature of pre-sales. If you don't have the heart to gamble, if you don't have the heart to potentially lose a significant amount of money, then pre-sales are not for you, and you should wait until the set is released. Because we already know that most of the cards will drop in price upon set being released. But the way that pre-sales benefit you is that you are trying to identify the one or two cards that are going to go up once the set is released, and you're snagging them early on pre-sales. I'll give you a couple examples of this. When Fenrir, Darkwing Blast, when that set first came out, you could have grabbed the Bestials as well as Fenrir and Unicorn, and those would have been great pre-sale buys because they immediately went up in price. In fact, in pre-sales, we were selling Fenrirs for $30. They immediately went up in price. Same thing with Chaos Angel. In Cyberstorm Access, we were selling Chaos Angels for $30 on pre-sales. They immediately jumped up in price. You can get really good deals on pre-sales. You just have to be able to identify that 1 to 2 cards that are going to spike up. You can go back to Duelist Nexus, that horrible set. But you remember the Chimera cards in there and the Unchained cards in there? Both of those deck cores jumped up in price and they were super cheap on pre-sales. You can identify 1 to 2 cards in every set that will go up on... that will go up once the set is released, and that is the benefit of pre-sales. Anything else, you are generally losing. So, with that said, and that out of the way, let's jump into the pre-sales of Legacy of Destruction. I want to share with you what cards I think are overpriced, what deck cores are overpriced, what deck cores are underpriced, what deck cores are fairly priced, and what cards are fairly priced. And to be honest with you, which ones I have no idea about, because this is a weird set. Price-wise, rarity-wise, this is a very, very strange set, and it's hard to figure out the prices on this set. So I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to bring you over. I made a little slideshow, see if it works. I'm using a new computer today, so we're testing it out, seeing if this computer works better than my previous one. So give me a moment, and I will get you over to that. All right, so let me shoot up here, slideshow, and then overlay. All right, here we go. So I want to talk first about the cards that I think are overpriced, or the deck cores that I think are overpriced. And the first one is Veruttis, the final bringer of the end times. Now, I know this is a fantastic card, but people are paying for that effect, which is a very good effect. And it has multiple effects, and they're all very good in Diab Bel. you got to understand that this card takes 2 level 10s to make it. That is not an easy feat. There are so many decks out there that are never going to be able to play this card. This card will not be able to be played. Spending $25 on a card that you're not going to be able to play because you can't consistently make 2 level 10s to bring this out, it's not a smart move. And because the card takes 2 level 10s, it means it's gonna be scaled down into a smaller group of decks that can run it. There's going to be more of this card on the market than people can run it. The main use of this card is Bel. If you're playing Bel, yes, get the card. But if you're not playing Bel, I would wait on this card. I think $25 is way too cheap. And because it's only really going to be running Bel, I would not be surprised if you don't see this card drop down to about 15, maybe 12 on the low end. I would wait on this card. I really would. This is not Typhon. This is not Zeus. This is a very specialized card in decks that can bring out level 10s. It's harder than you might think. So that's the first card that I think is overpriced, just simply because of how difficult it is to get this card on the field. The next card, along the same lines, this is somewhat generic in its first effect, but that's the only effect that is generic. The next 2 effects are Centurion effects, and because of it, this card is for the most part going to be locked into Centurion decks. I just don't think there's enough Centurion decks out there to warrant a $15 price tag on this card. I think the card's going to settle right under $10, around $8. It might even go down to $5, but I think $8 is where you're really going to see this card. So I would not be spending the $15 on this card. I would be waiting. It's a very good card, but it's a very good card in Centurions. And that's where the value of this card is mostly at. So those first 2 cards, extra deck cards that are very good in specific decks, and because they're not going to be seeing general play, I think they're going to be cheaper than what you're seeing on pre-sales right now. All right, so this is going to bring me into some deck cores. So the first deck core is the Ragnarika, however you say that, deck core. This sucker is coming in around $120. And it's kind of the opposite of Tenpai. And I'm going to talk about Tempest Dragon quite a bit later on, but this is kind of the opposite of that deck. And so what you're paying for is you're paying for those 2 secret rare cards, which are 3 of in the deck. So you're paying for 6 secret rare cards in a deck that we're not really sure is going to be good at all. And so this deck could easily flop. And when or if it does, the price is going to fall significantly. It's coming in around $120. I would be comfortable paying about $60 for this deck core because really you're trying it out. Not really sure that this is going to be a meta contender. I love the deck. I really do. And I wish that Konami would not have put 2 secret rares into this deck. I wish, and I thought that it was going to be maybe 1 secret rare and an ultra, or maybe 1 secret rare and several supers, but not 2 secret rares. Those 2 secret rares drive the price up beyond probably what you want to spend for a gamble on a deck that may or may not be good. So I'm not happy with the rarity spread in this in Legacy of Destruction at all, and this is the first place where you're going to see it. I don't think that this deck should have gotten secret rares. I think it should have gotten ultras or even supers because it is a test deck. So I would wait on that, see if it drops. It's certainly not going to go up. That would be my view, is that this deck is at its ceiling, and I don't like paying for decks at their ceiling. So I would wait on that. Lightsworn is another one very similar to what I just said. Look, this is a legacy deck, and that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the nostalgic feeling of playing Lightsworn. You're paying for the waifu. It has the waifu tax, the nostalgic tax. That's what you're paying for. Now, is Lightsworn going to be good? I don't know. I think there's a chance that it's decent. I think there's also a chance that it flops and it doesn't quite produce as people are hoping that it will. But either way, I think you're paying for the deck at its ceiling rather than at its floor. This deck does not have a ton of secret rares in there. You're paying for ultra rares. And so I would wait. I think the deck really should be about $40 to $50 at its max. You're not seeing that right now. You're seeing the deck come in anywhere from $70 to $150 on this deck core. I would be waiting on it 100% to see if you can pick this deck up for about $40 to $50 is what I would want to do. Because again, they're ultra rares in this set. This deck does not... I do think Minerva should have been a secret rare. I'm bummed that it's not a secret rare. You could have taken one of the Ragnara cards, made that an ultra, made this a secret. I don't know what they're doing, but that's the deal on Lightsworn. And that's what I got for you on the I skipped Ashen. I'm sorry. Ashen, I think, is overpriced. I just do. People are paying for the art and the hope. And the reality is that it's still not that good. It's still not that good of a deck. The support reminds you of Goatee, reminds you of Tistina, reminds you of B-Trooper, reminds you of all the other TCG exclusive archetypes. It's not good enough. And so to be paying $30 to $90 for this deck core, I think you're going to be able to pick up this deck core for $18 relatively soon. And the reason for that is there's one card in here that's ultra. That's it. The rest of it is super rares, commons. There's only one ultra rare in here. This is an $18 deck core because the core isn't that good and the rarities aren't that good. I wouldn't be paying this. I just wouldn't. So I think Ashen is definitely overrated as far as price. Those are the ones that I think are overpriced. Ragnara, Lightsworn, as well as the Ashen. So then you get down to fairly priced. Cards or decks that I think are pretty fair. And the first one here is Nightmare Throne. This is an amazing card. And now you have people talking about the possibility of not only just running this in the Yubel deck, but running a Yubel engine as well that you can splash into other decks with Nightmare Throne. I think Nightmare Throne is a fantastic card coming in at $30. I absolutely love it. I think the ceiling of this card is $50 and the floor of the card is $20. And anytime the floor is less than the ceiling, I think the ceiling is way higher than the floor on this card. I don't know what I'm saying. But the ceiling is great. The floor is not that low from where it is right now. I think this is a fine buy if you want to pick this card up at $30. I think it's a decent buy. I don't think that it's going to go much lower than that. I think it's going to hover around $30 for quite a while. The next one is Tempai. Now I know there's all kind of people that are just mad already that I put this under fairly priced. But let me explain something to you here. And we are used to paying for high rarity cards. We're used to spending money for shiny cardboard. That's what we're used to. But what if Legacy of Destruction is flipping how we buy cards and how we value cards? Because what you're paying for in Tempest Dragons is different. And in my mind, it's better. What you're paying for is a tier 1 deck right out of the gate. And because it's a tier 1 deck right out of the gate, and it's all low rarity, what that has done is it has made the demand for this deck greater than the supply. Now, you can argue with me all you want that these are supers and commons and they shouldn't be this high, but the reality is Gamer's Choice is sold out, Tier 0 sold out, I'm sold out. Many of the listings on eBay are sold out of this. The demand is higher than the supply. And because of that, it is driving the price of this deck core up. Because what you're paying for is a tier 1 deck right out of the gate. And that's better than paying for shiny cardboard. It is. You're paying for a seat at the table. And basically what you're saying is I'm willing to spend $50 to $90 to sit at the table. Now you can go out and you can buy a deck core with shiny cards in there and it can stink. You can go out, you can buy Ragnara and it can be absolutely horrible. You can go out, you can buy the gold or the shining sarcophagus. It can be absolutely horrible. Or you can buy this deck, sit at the table, destroy people, and realize that what you paid for is a deck that you can compete with. I think the deck is fairly priced. I really do. For the amount of demand that is out there for this deck, I think that it's fairly priced. And you don't have to go back far to see super rares holding value. You just go back to Darkwing Blast and you go back to the Bestials, and what you saw is the same thing. There was a demand for those cards, and because the demand was so high, those super rares went all the way up to $20 a piece. You might very well see the same thing with Tenpai. If this deck does what people think that this deck is going to do and what this deck has done in the OCG, then you're getting your money's worth out of this deck. The supply is not able to meet the demand for this deck. It's driving the price up, and we knew it from the very, very beginning. That's my take on Tenpai. I know that you might disagree with that. Leave a comment. Let me know. Do you disagree with that? Do you agree with it? If this is the new format, if this is the new pattern, this is a better pattern than paying for shiny cardboard that flops. How many decks have you bought in the past with shiny cards, spend all this money, and it's not very good? Well, now you can go out and you can buy a deck that doesn't have the shiny cards in there and you can kick people's butt with it. That's pretty cool. Right out the gate. I absolutely love it, and I think it's super cool. I love that that we're trying out something like this. I love that Konami's willing to just say, okay, we're gonna give this to you in low rarity. And by the way, $85, $90, $100 for an entire deck core is not a lot in the all scheme of things. When we were selling Kashtira, that was a $550 pre-sale deck core. So it's still relatively budget deck core. Now you are going to have to get Trident Dragon, and that's unfortunate, but hopefully they reprint that somewhere. I think that it's a fairly priced deck core. You might disagree with me, but that's part of the greatness of this, is that you and I can disagree and, have different opinions on it. All right, so deck cores and cards that I'm completely confused about. And this set does have a fair number of things that I'm just confused about. The first one is Diab Bel's, the original Sin Keeper. I have no idea the value of this card. I really don't. And the fact that you could find this card for anywhere between $20 and $80 tells you that nobody knows what this card is actually worth. I was selling this card in deck cores for quite cheap, around the $20 mark. I think we were selling deck cores for about $75, $80, something like that. That's pretty cheap. I have seen the card going for $80. I don't think anybody knows the value of this card. But part of it is tied to the snake eyes, sinful spoils kind of deal where people are tired of playing fire. But if you're not tired of playing fire, you might get rewarded with this card. Great card for that you can play. And, you know, I have no idea. I have no idea about this card. Another thing that I have no idea about is the Shining Sarcophagus. I had no idea how to price this. I have no idea if this is going to be worth something, if it's going to hold value, if it's going to drop down. Look, part of me says it's not going to be a meta deck, therefore it's not going to hold value. Another part of me says there are 4 secret rare cards in this deck alone. Meaning the deck core has 16 secret rares in there. That's a lot. And in addition to that, it's Yugi's cards. So for me, you know, this deck could stay pretty high because people love Yugi, that they love Yugi's cards. There's secret rares in here, a lot of them. But on the other hand, this deck could go down a little bit. I have no idea how to price this out. I would not be buying it for the price that it's going for. I would be waiting. That's just me. But it's just a deck that is confusing. So Diab Bel's as well as this is a bit confusing to me. Another category that I wanted to throw in here is just too cheap to matter. Look, if you want to go out and you want to buy Melodious or Ancient Gear or Velmonica on pre-sale or not on pre-sale and you want to wait, I don't think that it matters because they're all like $10 or less. So, you know, these deck cores, I'm excited about these deck cores. I love them, but they're not worth a lot. So if you just wanted to go in and grab them early, be done with it, I don't have any problem with that. If you want to wait, see if they drop down to $5 to $7, you can do that as well. Cards that I think are too cheap to make a difference. You've got the Goblin Bikers. You can just grab those on pre-sales or wait. It doesn't matter. Gold Pride. Grab them or wait, it doesn't matter. As well as the Voiceless Voice cards, they don't matter either because they're all super cheap, $5 or less. You know, if you really want to save a couple dollars, $1, $2, maybe wait on these cards. They probably will go down, but they're not expensive cards to begin with. All right, the last thing that I want to talk about. And the last thing I want to talk about is Underpriced. The one card that I think that you should be buying on pre-sales. The one card that I think is underpriced. And here it is, the Nightmare Apprentice. I think this is a very, very good card. This is going to search you an entire archetype. Not just an entire, it's going to search you an entire type. It will search you any illusion monster. Now, I know that there aren't a ton of illusion monsters out there, but as we get more and more illusion monsters, this card is just going to get better and better and better. And you take this card and you put it in Chimera, I think it's going to make that deck a lot better. I'm excited to see what Chimera can actually do with this card. I think this card is a little bit underpriced. The card is coming in around $40 to $50. I think this card is 50 plus. I think this card is $50 to $70, somewhere around there. I think it's a great card. And this, if I were buying pre-sales, this would be the one card that I would be targeting. Yeah, This would be the one card that I would be targeting. The rest of them, I think it's better for you to wait. And that is generally my opinion on all pre-sales. Look, we sell pre-sales on eBay. I tell you all the time, don't buy them. Oftentimes, it's better to wait. Now, if you think you've identified the card, by all means, go in and buy them. But if you're just trying to buy cards because you like them, wait until the set releases. Oftentimes they go down. That's what I have to say about pre-sales, on which cards you should be buying, which cards you should be avoiding. And as always, my name is Tal from Code2 Cards, and I am out of here. I can't see my button.